Have you heard of the internet? I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't, not because it's some underground niche thing that nobody knows about, but just because you kind of strike me as like a basement dweller type, live under a rock, you don't really know what's going on. Seeing as the future is now, every company, if it's smartly designed, should play their cards as if it is, and act like the internet is everything, it's everywhere, and everyone has it. Except for it's not, it isn't, and not everybody has it. And everything I just said was a lie. You know what I love? I love spending most of my childhood 2 houses down from houses that are eligible to have charter internet. Like, literally 2 houses down. If fate would have rolled the dice slightly differently, we would have been in any other house, and we probably could have had charter internet, but we didn't. And so our only option was dial-up, and so our only option was nothing. And so then when little old me had an Xbox One, and he wanted to play Black Ops 3, first of all, he had to go to GameStop, which that just sucks in general. You're just there to buy a game, but as you're checking out, they're like, hey, I see your PowerUp Rewards is expired. Would you like to renew it? And also, would you like to maybe refinance your house by trading in a copy of FIFA 2020? And do you want to come to my sister's wedding? And then by the time you finally get out of that prison and get back to the house and put the disc in the console, a little prompt comes up and it says, hey, we only put about 5% of the game on the disc because it's 7 terabytes. So you have to go and download it, even though you bought the physical version. Because everyone at Activision was like, you know, I think when people buy the disc, they just want something cool to look at. They don't want a Frisbee to throw around. Just like a fun toy. Why would everyone not download games? Everyone has the fastest, best internet and endless storage space. And so all that's on the disc is like the main menu and a link to download the rest of the game. So then poor Peter has to leave his Xbox One on for a week to download whatever bajillion teraflops of data, just so I can play offline split screen with my brother, because we're not gonna play online, because we don't have good internet. And you know what else I love so much? Big kisses and hugs. Every once in a while, me and my brother go out to my dad's camp, and it's off-grid. There's no electricity, there's no internet, there's no cell phone reception of any kind. It's got like a generator, so you get power, but it's off-grid. It's not attached to the outside world in any way, not in internet, not in anything. Here's the camp, and here's the power line going from it, but there's at least 1 tree in the way, and so it can't get to the power station. That's me. I'm bald now. So I think, all right, well, we're gonna be out there for a weekend or so. I'm gonna download some games on my phone, maybe some Idle Miner, or some Car Mechanic Simulator, or something stupid. Heck, maybe I'll just download Solitaire. Solitaire's fun. And then I go, and I wanna start up Solitaire, literal Solitaire. Do you know what you need to play Solitaire? Nothing, by yourself. That's why it's called Solitaire. You are something with the word solitude. I don't remember how to spell solitaire, but it's a byproduct of that add cinnamon to your applesauce. So I start up single player game that requires 5 minutes of programming to make. And you know what happens? Phone looks up at me and it's like, hey, I don't know how to open this game. I don't have internet. How do you start an EXE? How do you start a ROM if you don't have access to the widest database known to man? How does phone do anything? So phone doesn't run game. And then I start the next game. Phone doesn't run game. Then I start the next game. Phone doesn't run game. And I'm stuck with like calculator. And then I open calculator and it's like, sorry, no internet connection. Can't run calculator. The world right now is headed for a point where we have internet connection everywhere. We'll have satellites up in space. You can be in the deepest cave and there's gonna be internet emanating from the center of the earth. Everything's gonna be fantastic. You can connect to everything, anywhere, super high speed. It's gonna be fantastic. That's where we're headed. Don't get me wrong, I know that's where we're headed. But your stupid little prophesization business technique of, let's just pretend that it's the future so that our companies age well and the apps we make age well, so that when we do get to that future, things run really well. Well, that technique sucks so bad because we're not there. And now before everyone stands on their privileged horse of privileged living locations and talking down to me being like, oh, well, you can't just complain about the world and say that there's problems just because you happen to live in the farm in the Middle Ages and didn't have internet reception. We always had internet connection. In fact, my mom's the King of England. All right, well, I'm gonna give you some examples of what I'm talking about. And you are going to have experienced one of these, and then you're going to agree with me, unless you're here to give me a bad time and just say things contrary to what I'm saying for the heck of it, in which case, I mean, I get it, I did kind of open the video by insulting your intellect and experience as a human being, so I mean, fair enough. Example 1. That's the Google logo. I just mixed red with my green. Sorry, I haven't been a teacher in a while. Ever. I've never been a teacher. Google Assistant. Oh my gosh. All right, I have a Google Assistant on my phone. This isn't a fancy thing. Pretty much everyone has it. You have a phone, you hold this button, Google Assistant pops up if you're Samsung or whatever. And I can say, hey Google, eat my fist. Shut up! And I like to use my phone for shopping lists because it's a lot easier than having to write it down or opening up like a text or a Word document on your phone and typing it all out. If you can just tell your phone to do it, it's easy. It's a good product. I tell my phone, hey, start a shopping list. And then I tell it what goes on the shopping list. And there's like 15 different things. And then 3 days later, I want to go and get those things at the store. So I'm in the Meijer store. And for some reason, I don't have internet reception because it's just this massive cave of products. And so I pull up my phone and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll just show you what happens. I'll just show you right now. Show me my shopping list. There's my shopping list. I'm doxing my shopping list. This is gonna come to bite me in the butt eventually, but that's fine. And I turn my phone on to airplane mode. Here's airplane mode. Hey Google, show me.
For that, you'll have to turn off airplane mode.
Oh yeah, I can't even talk to her and she has a different voice. Everything about this app, the Google Assistant app, is internet-based. Open a text file, write a few things on it, and then just tell me what's on the text file. But it can't do that because even though it's such a complex computing device, it doesn't have access to the microverse of interwaves of the Spider-Verse. So then, great, I'm in the store and I can't get my shopping list, and I would have been better taking the extra 5 minutes just to write it down on a Word document because my phone can't do the simplest frickin' things.
Just as a note, while editing this, I found out that you can actually go into the settings and choose a certain option that allows you to use things offline, but that shouldn't be something you have to research and find out that it's a thing and then go do yourself. It should just turn on when you're offline.
You ever set a timer on your phone? There's an app. There's an app in your phone. Since I'm the teacher today, I'll teach you guys this. There's a built-in timer on your phone. It's pretty cool. So if I want to set a timer or an alarm or a stopwatch or something, there's an app on my phone for that. But if I try to use Google Assistant to do it, and Google Assistant doesn't have internet, she doesn't flippin' know where the app is, and she can't even start the thing. I'm in airplane mode again. Set a timer for 10 minutes.
Since mobile data is turned off, you'll have to turn on Wi-Fi and connect to a network first.
She's stupid. She's a phony. She's the great pretender of our time. She pretends like she knows all these things, but she doesn't. Some overlord in space is telling her what to do. She can't even start a flippin' timer. She couldn't probably add 1 + 1. What's 1 + 1?
Mobile data is
You won't even listen to my question. At this point, you're talking to a rock. Next topic. Xbox One, specifically Xbox One. The Xbox One menu system was so broken that sometimes the whole console would crash because you're scrolling past options too quickly. It was that terrible. And part of the reason it was terrible is because you open the dashboard and it's like, all right, let's make this look like downtown New York. Here's every billboard, every advertising sign, every possible ad we can throw at you. But because we're trying to download all this stuff just because you started your console, can't even start your game without the console crashing. And every game with online multiplayer was like the same thing. Even if you're going on there to play something offline, let's say you want to play a Halo campaign, you started Halo. We gotta download every update, make sure to update all your high scores and your gamer achievement points and all that, which moves us already back to Call of Duty multiplayer. It's Captain Price. Getting Call of Duty was a problem. Now, playing Call of Duty was still a problem. And once we actually get COD downloaded and started and everything's all hunky-dory, we're playing offline, right? So we don't even have the console connected to the internet anymore. We go on, split screen works fine, it's great. It runs as well as COD ran, we had a good old time. But then, let's say we reconnected the console to the internet for like 5 minutes, just to like check something. Maybe we want to send a message to our Xbox girlfriends that we definitely had. We were pretty good at COD. They came running. We're like, hey, let's play some more COD split screen. Start the console up, and because it had 5 seconds to look onto the internet and see the greater possibilities of the potential of the game, it decided, well, you can't play split screen unless we connect to the internet now, and there might be like 10 updates, so we have to make sure that we connect. It's like you have to shelter your console from the internet. Otherwise, next time you want to do something that doesn't require internet, just doing some split screen, it has to be like, sorry, I've seen the light now, and you haven't been updating the console, and you haven't been brushing your teeth, and you haven't been buckling your seat buckle, and now because I know of all these things that you don't want to make any use of, you can't play split screen until you give me what I want. This is why you spank your kids. Last thing in this category, that's Music Guy now. There's not much to this one, but iTunes and Apple Music, you suck. On the desktop version, at least when I used iTunes back in the day, it downloaded the music to your computer. You buy it, you download it, it's on your computer. If you try to start it up and there's no interconnect issue, and the same thing with Apple Music on my phone, if you don't have internet, if it can't contact Steve Jobs directly give him a phone call and ask him, hey, does this guy actually own the music? I know we have it downloaded to the app, and I know that we could detect if he put his own downloaded music on there, but we need to personally ask you, does he own the music? Oh wait, there's no internet connection. Sorry, you can't listen to your music. Your 2 megabit song, sorry. There's a lot more. There's way, way more, but I can't sit here and recall my whole life story just to tell you about the internet, because it's shaving years off my life. I can feel my hair is turning gray as I'm talking about this stuff. But all the stuff I talked about, all this stuff that is encompassed by stupid, represented by this man, brings up another fatal flaw. That all of it makes me never, with a strong passion, ever want to connect any of my devices to the internet, ever. Not my programs, not my phones, nothing. I never want to make accounts, I never want to have connections to the internet unless I'm directly using it. It's a massive deterrent. For example, and this is one probably most of you will relate to. This is the guy who owns Microsoft, whose name I forget, and he puts out updates. Windows updates once in a while. Everyone knows where I'm going with this already. Sometimes I'm just doing whatever on my computer. I'm working on a video. I've been working on it for weeks. I've been editing 10 hours a day. It doesn't take quite that long, but let's just pretend for a moment I work really hard. And up comes a pop-up that says, hey, there's an update for your computer. You kind of got to do it fast. It's really important. And I'm like, yeah, screw off. Why would I actually update when it's supposed to update? I'm in the middle of using my computer. That's why it's telling me. It won't tell me when I'm away from the computer. I'm there using the computer, so it thinks, ah, you're here. Mom, can we get McDonald's? No, I'm busy. Why would you ask me specifically when I'm doing things? I know that's what you have to do, because I never stop doing things. But like, shut up. So then you continue about your business, and the next day it's the same thing. And 3 days in a row, it keeps telling you. Every time you're in the middle of something, hey, can you restart your computer? Right when you're at a critical moment where you absolutely can't. And then finally it gets a little fed up and it says, okay, well, if you're not gonna do this for me, here's a time limit. We are gonna restart your computer at this exact date and time. And you observe the date and time and you're like, you know what? This checks out. I won't be using the computer at this time. Go for it. Absolutely. Middle of the night, 3 a.m. when you're not going to be awake. I'm awake at 3 a.m., but all right, 5 a.m. Fast asleep. My computer is not in use. I'm expecting it to update overnight because that's the time it told me. Come back to the computer the next day. No updates were done. Computer's still running. Nothing has happened. I'm like, well, guess my kids don't want McDonald's anymore. I guess I'll just go back to work. So I sit down. I've been editing for 15 minutes without saving my project, and then computer restarts. Scheduled update. It just had to wait for me to be there. Because why wouldn't it? And the same with my phone. My phone does the exact same thing. I'm watching YouTube on it at night, and it's like, hey, we're gonna restart and do an update in 3 hours. It's like, fine, I'll be in bed by then. I'll be asleep. Fall asleep, wake up, didn't do it. Watching YouTube the next day. As soon as I start up my phone. As soon as I unlock the phone. Because that's what it has to wait for. It has to wait for your permission. It needs to wait for you to unlock your phone before it can update. So you unlock the phone, immediately starts updating. It's like, well, I just sat down here to watch YouTube. I'll stare at a blank screen for 5 minutes. I guess I'll just use my brain and think and be in dead silence. Who does that nowadays? Nobody sits and thinks. It's horrifying. There are not good things going on in here, and I don't want to think about them. I want to watch YouTube. My phone's like, well, now that I've got you here, sorry. I've gone too long about this, and if I talk about Smash Online, we're going to be here for another 10 minutes. And so I'm going to spare you. We're not in this future we think we are. And as long as phone companies and game companies and console companies and electronic companies and program companies and Microsoft companies keep thinking that we are in this future where everything's hunky-dory, every update downloads in an instant, it doesn't interrupt you, every console runs perfectly smooth because we have 4 gigabyte download speeds. Nintendo thinks that their console has at least a gigabyte of RAM. I don't even know if it does. There's a billion other issues with people assuming that the internet is just this magical thing that everyone has emanating from their pockets, and we're in this great utopia of the connected world to where nobody is left out and everybody can enjoy products the same. But it's just not that way. Here's the United States, and I know this doesn't really look like the United States, but let's just call this the United States. Go to any of these spots and you'll see what I mean. Sometimes you just don't have a connection. And companies need to realize that that's a possibility. To them right now, that's just not possible. They're so privileged. They don't understand that sometimes you just don't have direct connection to a 4K streaming service. Creating your companies and your business models and your products to run good 5 years from now in this perfect utopia that we are definitely going to get to in terms of internet is great. Do that. It's a good business model. But don't cook us food that we can't digest for 10 years and expect us to eat it now. This is my soul before this video, and this is all the anger, and now I've vented for like a half hour. And this is my soul now, and it's just happy. I feel liberated. And you know what, Hulk Hogan, I'll even finish your body. And Sonic. I needed that.